Today at Speedy's Garage we're going to be working on some engine half covers. I'm not real thrilled about all these wires and everything being exposed and the coil packs and everything, so I found some half covers I'm going to try out, see if I can't paint them and make that engine bay look a little bit better. The half covers attach to the coil packs, so I went ahead and picked up some M6 by 30mm stainless steel hex head bolts and stainless steel washers. Figure since you're going to see them, that'll look a little bit better than the factory black ones. So these will replace just one of the bolts in the coil pack cover. And I also picked up some rubber grommets that will fit into the slot that bolt passes through to kind of cushion it a little bit. The covers are fiberglass, so you want to be careful and not damage them when you're tightening them down. So that'll give me a little bit of a cushion, and I'll probably use a little blue Loctite on these threads to keep them from backing out. There are the engine half covers. These are carbon by design. I'm only going to give them like a 7 out of 10 at best. The fit wasn't perfect. I had to actually use a Dremel and open up these mounting holes a little bit so that they would line up. I had to do a lot of spot putty. That's what it's like, glazing and spot putty. It's like a Bondo type material. Everywhere you see the little red is where I found a bubble, and it actually chipped out. It was probably 1/8 of an inch deep, so I had to, do quite a bit of that. You can see they're kind of all over. I'm a little bit anal about things and want them to look great, so I probably spent a little bit more time on it than some people would like, or some people might do. But I look at it like I want it to look good 6 inches away. Some people might be happy with 4 feet, but I want 6 inches. So that's the reason I spent a little bit of extra time on them. Once I had them all sanded and the spot and glazing putty put in, I went ahead and wiped them down with some a red 3M pad. That preps them for paint. As part of the sanding process, I used some 400 grit wet dry, and then I've also got on hand some 600, 800, and 1000 grit wet dry in case I need to sand the primer a little bit. Once I had it sanded and was happy with the finish, I washed it in Dawn dishwashing detergent. Dawn has the least amount of additives in it, so it's a nice clean soap. And I just washed it down. So this one has not been washed. You can see it's kind of dusty from all the sanding that I've done. And this one has been washed. Once they're washed, I'll then wipe them down with some Prep-All. It's a dirt grease remover, and then after you use that, don't touch them again. Don't let your fingers touch this side, where your paint finish is going to be. You don't want any grease from your hands to get back on there. Then I'm going to use some sandable primer, a little Duplicolor Hemi Orange engine paint, and then I'm going to lay some decals down on here. And I'm going to come back and clear coat over those with this acrylic enamel by Duplicolor. I've tried that before and it worked pretty well, so hopefully I'll have good luck with it again. For some of the sanding, you want to use a sanding block, especially in these flat areas, because your finger will actually put a divot. So use a sanding block for those areas if you have to sand and you have any spots like I did. Since I have the supercharger installed, I had to do just a little bit of trimming, and again I just used a Dremel with a cutoff wheel. So this is the area on the driver's side that will go around the oil fill cap. And there's some hoses there for the supercharger, so I just trimmed this down, and then on the edge gave it a little bit more room. And then on the passenger side, I made a notch for my fuel pressure gauge, a notch for the oil fill dipstick. I did that with a Dremel sanding barrel, and I did that with a Dremel sanding barrel as well. And then in the back, where the hoses pass, I just trimmed off this with a cutoff wheel to give that a little bit more room. And then I made sure to sand the edges nice and smooth. Now the reason I only give these a 7 out of 10 if I was rating them is that the fit and finish just wasn't as good. I mean, these were a little bit expensive, and the fit and finish wasn't as good as I thought it should be for the money that they cost. I had to actually trim probably 3/16 of an inch in several places just to make this edge flat. What I did is I laid a piece of blue painter's tape across here to give myself a guide, and then I used a 90-degree pneumatic die grinder with an number 80 sanding wheel on it, or sanding pad, to flatten that out to make it where it's pretty much flat. Before, you'd see like a 1/4 inch gap between each end. And then I had to do the same thing on this side. And I've already mentioned that I had to elongate these bolt holes to make those line up with the coil pack covers. Now on the coil pack covers, I'm going to use some stainless steel bolts to attach those. Like I said, I'm going to probably put a little bit of blue Loctite on here so that these don't back out. And finally, here's the vinyl decals I'm going to attach. It says Arrington Forge 6.0 liter, and then the word Hemi. And I'll show you those at the end, but the Hemi's going to go across here, and then the Arrington Forge 6 liter is going to go up here on each of the engine covers. Should look pretty good. So here are the half covers with the primer applied. The can said that you needed to apply it when the humidity was below 60% and below or between 60 and 92 degrees Fahrenheit. The humidity just ticked up to 61% where I live, so I had to bring them inside to let them dry. But there they are. Hopefully tomorrow morning they'll be good to go. So now I've got the Hemi Orange engine paint applied, but unfortunately that paint takes 7 days to cure. So I'm not able to put the clear coat on top of the engine covers. If I had clear coated them within an hour, I would have been okay. But because I need to lay the vinyl decals down, I have to wait for this to dry, and then I'm going to place a tape line as a guide to put the letters down. And because of that, I'm going to have to wait 7 days before I can finish these. Okay, so there was a slight change of plans. I thought about it, and I decided I wanted to do something a little bit more special with these engine covers, so I dropped them off to a local airbrush artist, and I had him apply some realistic flames to the engine covers. He also laid down my decals for me and then clear coated the covers with an automotive clear. It actually turned out way better than I could have done. Very reasonable. The shop was air2artstudio.com. They're local in Middle Tennessee, so if you have any airbrush work or anything you want done, the guy does amazing graphics. I mean, I can't believe that. So now we're ready to install them on the car. So here's the finished product mounted on the motor. As discussed, I used the stainless steel hardware with rubber grommets in the mounting holes. I'm hoping that'll help with the vibration. You know, these are going to vibrate with the motor, so hopefully that'll help them be durable and not have any problems. Paint turned out great, and it's a nice addition to the engine bay of the car. It kind of finishes it off. I never cared for the exposed coil pack covers. I did kind of ease the Magnuson reservoir for the intercooler back a little bit to help it keep from touching, but everything else fit great. And that's it. Be sure to check out my website, www.speedysgarage.net, for more information on Project Orange Krush.